Adam Grant writes a book called Think Again. And in that book, he has a chapter called Persuading the Unpersuadable. And in there, he tells a story of how the Apple developers convinced Steve Jobs to ultimately agree to develop a phone. For years and years and years, Steve was completely and totally convinced that that is the wrong product for the company to build. In fact, he was dead set against it. And anything that they did to try and convince him that it would make sense got him to dig his heels in further. And so, how this relates to us as salespeople is we all get ourselves in a position where we're asking someone to do something. We're asking someone to take the next step. We're asking someone to trust us. And when we do that and they're not fully in the state of agreeableness, we find ourselves pushing them further and further away, and we don't even know it sometimes because people don't necessarily get as disagreeable as Steve Jobs was. So there's two things that we can learn from this. The first one is highlight your weaknesses. Allow them to let them know that you know where you are in fact weak. What studies prove and what the science proves behind the studies is that when people hear you discuss the challenges, it gives them more of a platform or more of the courage to highlight its strengths. So the things they did at Apple is they said things like, yet we probably couldn't do it because we may not have the technology to get all of the wonderful simplistic elegance into this small little product. And then Steve Jobs said, well, now wait a second. Now, what if we did this? In other words, they highlighted the potential weaknesses. He went for the potential strengths. This is a really good tool for us to use as we work through conversations with disagreeable people. So that's thought one. Thought two is they got collaborative. Is they said to him, if we were ever going to do this, what would you see as a really good path for us to take? Or how would you see us taking the steps? Or how would you see us developing this? In other words, they put the concept back on him. Much like we talked about last week with the Hollywood screenwriters. Really, really strong personalities, in particular when they are disagreeable, don't want to be convinced further on your points. They want to come to their own conclusions. And if we can take these two lessons and put them into our sales process, in particular our close and our follow-through process, we will be much more successful in getting business and strengthening relationships. Good selling, everybody.